I finally launched my own company after years of saving and invited my entire family to the grand opening. Not one of them showed. They were all at my brother's housewarming party. As I sat in the empty office cleaning up alone, Mom texted, "We need to talk about profits. Your brother says he deserves a cut." 120 catered appetizers sat under silver covers, slowly cooling to room temperature. 30 padded chairs lined the perimeter of the lobby, completely untouched. In the doorway hung a thick red ribbon, waiting for a pair of brass scissors that remained sitting on my desk. For 7 years, I gave up everything for this room. I worked 90-hour weeks at a soul-crushing firm. I lived on instant noodles and sleep deprivation. I wore shoes with worn-through soles so every extra dollar could go straight into a business savings account. Today was the official ribbon cutting for my own logistics firm. I invited 15 people. My parents, my sister, my extended relatives, and my younger brother Ethan. By 6 p.m., the lobby was silent. By 7:30 p.m., the catering staff politely asked if they should start packing the trays into boxes. By 8:30 p.m., I paid the staff double for their time, sent them home, and picked up a broom. I didn't have to guess where they were. When I opened Instagram, my sister had uploaded a video with a caption, "Celebrating the Golden Boys' new palace. Family over everything." There was my mother, holding a glass of expensive champagne in a sunlit granite kitchen. There was my father laughing beside the pool. And there was Ethan, wearing a designer watch, surrounded by our entire family for his housewarming party. Ethan had bought a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. Ethan had never held a steady job for more than 6 months in his life. They hadn't forgotten my grand opening. They had simply chosen where they wanted to be. At 9:15 p.m., as I was sweeping dust into a pan in the middle of an empty $50,000 leased office, my phone buzzed on the glass reception counter. It was a text from Mom. "Hey sweetie, sorry we couldn't make it tonight. Ethan's housewarming went late and we didn't want to break the party mood. By the way, we need to talk about your new company's profits. Ethan says he deserves a 20% cut for giving you emotional support over the years. We think it's only fair. Family comes first." I stood in the silence of that room, holding a broom, staring at the blue light of my phone screen. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't drop to the floor and cry. Instead, a cold, absolute stillness washed over me. Every tiny thread of warm, desperate need for their approval, a habit I had carried since I was a little boy, simply snapped. The emotional switch flipped completely off. What my mother didn't know was how Ethan had actually bought that house. 2 years ago, Ethan wanted a massive cash down payment to flex on his friends. He begged my parents for money they didn't have, desperate to give their golden child whatever he wanted. My mother took out a high-interest private loan using their own house as collateral. 6 months ago, Ethan stopped helping them make the monthly payments. The private lender was days away from initiating a quiet foreclosure on my parents' home. My mother had come to me in tears back then, begging for help. I didn't give her cash. Instead, I used my newly registered corporate entity to secretly buy out the entire mortgage. Debt from the private lender. I became the sole line holder on my parents' house. I did it because deep down, I still loved them. I did it to keep them from being put out on the street. I never told them I owned the debt. I just let them think the lender had extended their grace period. I set the broom down against the wall. I picked up my phone and typed a single word back to my mother. No. 3 seconds later, the typing bubble appeared. A barrage of text flooded in. "How can you be so selfish? Ethan is struggling. Money has corrupted your heart." I didn't reply to any of them. Instead, I dialed my corporate attorney, David. He answered on the 3rd ring. "David," I said. My voice was calm, steady, and entirely devoid of emotion. "That residential debt portfolio we acquired in Q2. The one securing your parents' property?" David asked cautiously. "Issue the formal default and foreclosure notice first. Thing tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Are you sure? Once we file, it becomes public record. They'll have 30 days to settle the full balance or lose the house." "I'm sure," I said smoothly. "Execute it." The next morning, I sat at my mahogany desk in my quiet office, drinking dark roast coffee. At 8:45 a.m., my phone began to explode. 14 missed calls from Mom, 8 from Dad, 6 hysterical texts from Ethan. I let it ring until 9:00 a.m. Then I answered Mom's 15th call on speakerphone. "What did you do?" she shrieked, her voice cracking with pure terror. "A legal officer just served us papers. They're foreclosing on the house. Ethan is having a panic attack." I took a slow sip of my coffee, looking out over the city skyline. "Ethan wants a cut of my profits," I said quietly. "What does that have to do with this?" she sobbed. "Tell him to sell his new house to pay off your mortgage," I replied, my voice as smooth as polished glass. "You have 30 days. I ended the call, blocked every single one of their numbers, and got to work.